Good afternoon. Learning styles. Here what do? We mainly do here the Kolb model and the Felder Silverman's model. Now, first, what are learning styles? Learning styles are different methods of learning and understanding new information. One learner's style of learning is different from another learner style of learning. So, as a teacher, we should understand that the learning styles of the learners are different. So, learning styles are the way a person takes in, understands, expresses and remembers information. So, here in this picture, this cooking we have to, this lady, she is taking step by step and she is cooking this vegetable. So, she is following on the step by step method, but this lady, what is she doing? The picture idea of this cooking, this vegetable, it is in her mind. So, she is just cooking, So, her style and her style, this lady's style and this styles are totally different. Okay? One is following the step by step method, another is following the picture idea of that from her experience she is doing. So, David Kolb did his PhD in socio-psychology from Harvard University and he published his principles of learning styles in the year of 1984. Kolb shows that how people perceive and process information through our learning cycles and our learning styles. We will explain his learning styles and his learning cycles. So, the learning cycles, it has the 4 processes and then he developed the 4 different learning styles. Now, David Kolb here, he mainly, number 1, he believes in constructivism, the 6 principles and the experimental learning. I will explain what the 6 principles of learning is following. Learning is the process whereby knowledge created through transformation of experiences. From the experience only a learner is learning. He is not believe in the outcome based, but from the experiences he is giving importance to the experiences. And so, Kolb experiential learning theory, learning is the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. From the experience, the knowledge is transformed. Knowledge results from the combination of grasping experience and transforming it. So, Kolb experiential learning theory is recognized as launching the modern learning styles movement. So, Kolb's 6 principles of experiential learning. What is that? Number 1 is that learning as a process. What is that? Learning is a continuous process grounded in experiences. So, knowledge is continuously derived and tested out in the experiences of the learner. Suppose you can't do trigonometry if you don't know the algebra, right? So, if you know algebra, that you can apply in the trigonometry. So, how can you apply this learning as a process? It is the constantly building on previous content, scaffolding. So, this is the learning as a process. The second point is the learning is relearning. What is that? Students' ideas must be drawn out, discussed and redefined. So, it is it's a relearning. Okay. Suppose I am cooking something, cooking coffee. In a different method I can improve. So, from I am learning this method of coffee making, another so in a different way I can try. So, it is nothing but a relearning. So, In that case, application is a group work we can apply, theory testing and the critical thinking exercises also. So, it is a learning is a relearning. The third point is the emotional learning, emotional reflection. What is that? Learning requires a resolution of dialectically opposed modes of adaptation of the world, that the learners must move between opposing modes of reflection and action and feeling of thinking. Suppose what is that? Suppose in the class, suppose I am in the history I am teaching. In that case, I can ask my learner that is anybody in your family is, suppose I am in the history I am talking about the freedom fighting that time, you know. Is your anybody in your family is the freedom fighter? So, what's your, so I can involve them, you know, emotionally, and that is in that way they can, and I will allow time for students to reflect. So, after any discussion, I can discuss I can discuss and I can understand their emotional reflection. So, have learners keep journals. So, that is very important in the emotional reflection in history, sociology, anywhere, you know, in different subjects. The fourth point is the holistic learning. What's that? Learning affects the entire learner. The total holistic learner, okay, uses of cross-disciplinary curriculum. Suppose I am teaching economics, right? If I am teaching economics, with that I can give, I can see their maths background, or if how, so because the mathematics and economics is related. So, total one holistic things. If I am teaching them English literature or I am teaching them social studies, with that I am talking in the English grammar and these things. So, it is like that the total one holistic approach. So, in the cross-disciplinary curriculum I can use. So, always improve every aspects of the learner's education. So, always I will try to improve all the aspects of the learner's education. Environmental, yeah, any biological science or not only biology, in the engineering also, in the environment how you are using, okay. So, we should emphasize, as a teacher we should emphasize them. So, learning involves interaction between the learner and the environment, and how I will apply, allow time for experimentation in the environment where they can experiment, and applications, the learner's idea, learner will think on their own and they can apply it, right. The last is the constructivism, and Cole believe in that constructivism is that constructivism views that learning as a process in which the learner constructs knowledge. They construct knowledge based on their past experiences. So, knowledge is constantly building upon itself. So, how application? You know, we can find the different viewpoints, okay, between the students. So, each student's experiences is constantly growing, right. The learner's experience is constantly growing and creating and the unique lens for the student. So, these four things. So, Kolb experimental learning theory sets out 4 different learning styles or preferences which are based on 4 stage learning cycles. Okay? What are those learning cycles? One is concrete experiences, 2 the reflective observation, third one is abstract conceptualization, and the fourth one is active experimentation. Now, just see here. Here the 4 stage of learning cycles. The first is the concrete experiences. What's that? Do something. So, here life is full of experiences we can learn from, right? Whether at home or at the work or out and about, there are countless opportunities for us to kickstart the learning cycle. So, the first is to do it, the do things, that is the concrete experience, do something. The next one is the reflective observation. What is that? It is nothing but think about what you did. You just think. First concrete experience you are doing just without thinking, and here the reflective, think and do it. So, here reflection involves thinking about what we have done and experienced. So, in that some people are naturally good at this, but others train themselves to be more deliberate about reviewing their experiences and recording them. So, this is the second part. The third one is the abstract conceptualization. What is that? This is the thinking thing, means logical analysis of ideas and acting on intellectual understanding of the situation. So, logically you are analyzing, this is the third part, that is called the abstract conceptualization. And the fourth is the active experimentation, it is just doing. So, here ability to get things done by influencing people and events through action includes risk taking. So, I will just give one example. Suppose learning to ride a bicycle. Okay. So, here reflective observation is that thinking about riding and watching another person ride a bike. You are thinking and you are watching that another person is riding the bike. So, this is the first part, we call is reflective observation. The second one is that the abstract conceptualization. What is that? Understanding the theory and having a clear grasp of the biking concept. How you have to understanding the theory and the concept. The third one is the concrete experiences. What is that? Receiving practical tips and techniques from a biking expert. You can ask that how you are doing this, how you are biking these things. So, if the practical experiences from the person. And the last one is the active experimentation, is that user leaping on the bike and have go at it. Suppose another learning algebra. Here abstract conceptualization, I can say that listening to explanations on what it is. So, this is the abstract conceptualization. Concrete experience, going the step by step through an equation, that is the concrete experiences. Active experimentation is nothing but practicing, and reflective observation is recording your thoughts about algebraic equation in a learning log. So, these things. Now, Cole's learning cycles has one is the east-west axis, we call the processing continuum, and the north-south axis, that is the processing perception continuum. First, I will see this picture here. Here, just here the concrete, just in this picture, concrete experience is nothing but here 4-stage learning style. Just see the picture, concrete experience and the abstract conceptualization. So, this is nothing here, and here the reflective observation and active experimentation, that is doing. So, here filling and watching. So, here this is fill and watch, this is called the diverging style. Here reflective, that reflective observation, that is watching, and abstract conceptualization, that is thinking, in middle we call that assimilating cycle. Assimilating cycle means think and watch. This side active experimentation, that is doing, and abstract conceptualization, that is thinking. In the main here, this is converging style, that is thinking and doing, and here concrete experience, that is feeling, and active experimentation, that is doing, here accommodating, that is feel and do. So, there are 4 different learning styles: diverging style, assimilating style, converging style, and accommodating style. So, here in that matrix I can see here feeling experience, concrete experience, doing, active experimentation. So, accommodating is CE and AE. Watching, that is reflective observation, here feeling and watching, that is diverging styles. Thinking and doing, that is converging styles, and thinking and watching, that is assimilating styles. Now, I will explain now what are the different styles. Okay? The diverging styles here, these people are able to look at things from different perspectives. They are sensitive. The learners who are in the diverging styles, they are very sensitive. They prefer to watch rather than do, tending to gather information and use imagination to solve problems. They are best at viewing concrete situations, several different viewpoints, and these people inform better in situations that require ideas generation, for example, brainstorming, right. So, these are the diverging styles. Now, the assimilating styles. Was the assimilating styles, they prefer, the learning preference to be the concise logical approach. Their ideas and concepts are more important than people. Okay. Though these people require good, clear explanation rather than practical opportunity. So, they just want clear explanation. They excel at understanding wide ranging information and organizing it as a clear, logical format. And people with this assimilating learning styles are less focused on people and more interested in the ideas, abstract concepts. They are most interested in that. So, people with this style are more attracted to logically sound theories than approaches based on the practical value. The third style is the converging style. People with converging learning styles can solve problems and will use their learning to find solutions to practical issues. So, they prefer technical tasks and less concerned with people and interpersonal, interpersonal aspects. So, in that case, they are best in finding practical uses for the ideas and theories. Whatever the ideas and theories, the assimilating styles, they are belief, but in the converging styles, they just, based at the finding the practical uses for these ideas and theories, and they can solve problem and make decision by finding solutions to questions and problems. They are asking questions, the problems, they are, like that. So, people with these converging styles are more attracted to technical tasks and problems than the social and interpersonal issues. So, these are the converging styles. The fourth one is the accommodating style. What is that? The accommodating style is the hands-on belief, and they realize that on intuition, they just believe in the intuition rather than the logic. So, these people use their people's analysis and prefer to take practical and the experimental approach. So, they are attracted to the new challenges and experiences and to carrying out plans, and they commonly act as a get instinct, rather than the logical analysis. So, people with this accommodating style, learning style, will tend to rely on others for information than carry out their own analysis. So, these are the 4 learning styles according to Kolb. Now, we will go to the learning styles of the Felder-Silverman model. The Felder-Silverman model identifies 5 different types of learning styles. One is the processing. There in that processing 2 parts. One is the active learners, another the passive learners. The perception, from the perception point of view, 2 different styles. One is the sensory learner, another is the intuitive learner. From the input point of view, one the visual learner, another is the verbal learner. From the understanding point of view, some are the sequential learner and some are global learner. And from the organization point of view, some are inductive learner and some are the deductive learner. So, there in the NET you will get, if you just give a search, the questionnaire will come. So, from that questionnaire you can get the index of learning styles, ILS. If you write Felder-Silverman's model, it will come. So, your students, you can find out what type of learning styles they prefer. Okay. So, there are many measures of the learning styles, but here one we are considering this here, the Felder-Silverman's model, that is the index of learning styles by ILS. It is developed to help the students and teachers of the undergraduate science and engineering courses, and there already I mentioned that these different learning styles are there. So, the active learners, what is the active learners tend to retain and understand information best by doing something active on it. They are doing it and they are learning it. So, this is the active. So, discussing or applying it or explaining it to others. So, they are actively, they are very involved. So, these are called the active learners. So, their main aim is the let us try it out, okay, and how it works. So, they are the active learner in an active learners phrase. Also, so they prefer group work. In the group work, they do work actively, they are participated. So, they are active learners, and they find it is difficult to sit just in the lectures and taking the notes. It is really difficult for the active learners, right? They just want to do that, okay. So, when you are teaching, you have to understand that the few are active learners. So, for that you after teaching you can give them to do this work, you do it, or this assignment or this problem, do it, then they learn quickly. But the reflective learners, they retain and understand information best by thinking about it first. Not they do not believe in the do thing, they just think it. So, they are let us think it through first. So, they prefer, they do not love group work, they just working, they prefer working alone, they are just thinking and they do it. So, they needs thinking time during lectures. So, after the lectures you should give them some time, okay, let us think it, okay, and then discuss. So, this is the reflective learners, they prefer that only the lectures, and after that you should give them some thinking time. But the sensing learners, what's that? Let's like to learn facts. So, like to solve the sensing problems using well established methods, and dislike complications and surprises. They do not want that. They do not want any surprises. They just solve the problem well established methods, and they tend to be patient with details and are good at memorizing, okay, and facts, and they do hands on work, and they are very good in the lab work or in the project work, and in that they tend to be more practical and they are very careful. So, they do not like the courses that have no apparent connection to the real world, because where they can apply, right. So, in the real world where they can apply that, these learners they prefer that, but intuitive learners they prefer discovering possibilities and relationships. So, they like innovation and dislike repetition. The same topic they don't want, they don't like repetition. Maybe better at grasping a new concepts very fast and are more comfortable with abstract material and mathematical formulation, but they intuitively they learn it, okay, but they tend to work faster and more innovative, but they may be in the careless mistake they may do in they understand very the total idea, the total concept they can understand, but in the exam time they can do mistakes. So, they do not like courses that involve that the memorization and the routine calculation that they don't like. The visual learners, most of the people we are visual learners, okay. You learn best when the information is presented visually from any PowerPoint, the point, these things you learn, visually you learn best. Textbooks and class notes, list of essential points, after these points today you have to cover. If you mention those points, the visual learners, they okay, these points they can keep it in their mind. So, color coding and highlighting, okay, summarize the key information. So, visual learners they remember what they see, the pictures, the flow charts and timelines, films, demonstration, they usually all we are visual. So, the verbal learners get most out of written and spoken explanations. Benefits from writing summarizes or outlines of the course material and the working in groups. Here the classmates explanation, sometimes with the classmates the verbally they understand that the verbal learners they do. In most college or classes, very little visual information is present. In the remote, only they can use in the remote, suppose rural school, only they can use the blackboard. Or so they have to mainly the students have to listen the lectures and read materials, okay, written on the chalkboards and in the textbooks like that. But unfortunately, I already mentioned that the most people are visual learners, which means that most students do not get nearly as much as they would if more visual presentation were used in class. So, and good learners, for them whether it is visual or verbal, they just learn. The sequential learners, what's that? The learners gain understanding in some sequential logical steps. This up to that, this steps up to that. They just prefer step by step. So, they tend to follow the logical stepwise points while problem solving. So, may not understand the material fully, right, but they are still able to solve the problems and pass the tests. So, in that case may know a lot about the specific aspects of the subject, but may have trouble relating them to the different aspects of the same or different subjects. The step by step only they can do, okay, they may not relate to other subjects or like that, but the global learners, the learners seems to learn a large jump, absorbing the material almost randomly and without seeing the connection, but they just getting it, okay. So, it is that may be able to solve the complex engineering problems, complex different problems very quickly, or put things and together in the novel, just this is the answer, but in the stepwise they may not, but the totally they can do it. So, the global learners may have severe difficulties in solving problems when they have not grasped everything. Okay? So, may have difficulty in explaining the knowledge, but as a whole they can do it. Now, the inductive learners is that starts with observations, prefer to learn a body or material by seeing specific cases first, the observation, experimental results, numerical examples, and they prefer to begin with general principles and to deduce consequences and applications. They infer, explain natural human learning styles, and the deductive learners, they starts with the principles, deduce. So, this is the last part, that the deductive learners, they start with the principles, they deduce, derive, and this is. So, in this lecture, we understand the different types of learners are there, their different learning styles are there, and in the next lecture, I will tell you in the different types of learner from the learning approach point of view. Okay? This is the different types of learner from the learning styles point of view, but in the next lecture, learning different learners from the learner's approach point of view. There are deep learner, there are surface learner, and there are achiever. Okay? So, this is for today. Thank you.